Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host Michael Keene. For today's interview, we have the creator, artist, and founder behind Cool Cats, Clon, joining us today. Clon, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to get into it.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I was as I was like prepping for this pod, I thought about all the fun facts, Michael, that we have about Cool Cats. So I wanted to kind of share a couple with you before we get started. First of all, we had Extreme Tom on he was our very first guest ever. And so, yeah, I thought that was cool. He's also, one of the co-founders of Cool Cats. If you guys don't know, definitely check out that one. It's quite the throwback, but because it was like almost 2 years ago. But yeah, he was our first guest on the show. So
wow, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think Cool Cats, we have talked about Cool Cats a lot on this podcast, especially in the beginning. So yeah, I'm so excited that we finally have you here. Okay, Cool Cats minted on my birthday, July 1st.
I didn't know that either. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, and actually that was the one day where I was like, I'm not doing any NFT stuff today. Like, I don't care what's happening. And I went to just go party with my friends in Cali, and I was turning 26. And my coworker, Ray, shout out to Ray, he ended up minting one for me. And then, it kind of blew up really quick, and I sold it probably within a week or so. And I was like, oh my God, 0.42, like this is so good. And I was like, yes, like, and everyone's like, how could you sell a gift? And then I immediately was like, wait, I actually really want to keep a Cool Cat. And I ended up like a month later buying back in for like 0.69. And I've been holding my Cool Cat that you can see in the background here ever since. So diamond hander. But yeah, fun fact, we share the birthday.
Nice. Yeah. No, it's probably best you spent your birthday, enjoying yourself and touching grass. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, that's true. But I was kind of like, what the heck? Like, because, oh my God, my cat. My cat is messing up my mic.
Oh, I've been there.
Okay, we're good.
My cat literally this morning chewed up my MacBook charger. And so that's been a whole thing this morning.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Michael, do you want to say the third fun fact?
Yes.
I didn't even tell you, but I feel like you know it. So
I definitely know what it is. So one of our most popular early episodes, in the middle of the hype, everything was going crazy. I actually surprised everybody, bought a Cool Cat live on the show when they were like 9 ETH. And then it was like literally the next day was when Farouk was dumping milk on his head. And then they just went up and up. They went up to about 15. I had it listed to sale. Jenny and Andy, who had Cool Cats, started shaming me horribly. It was
boo you, throws tomatoes.
No, I've been there. I get it.
I'm just kidding. I would do what I want to do. They know that. But I kept it, held it. It was all a really nice one. I actually, on December 31st of last year, strategically sold it at like 1.25 ETH and took a nice tax loss.
Right.
But it was like, people loved that episode. It was really fun. But we bought it live and we like looked which one I should get and picked out a really cool one. It was
There's nothing like the thrill of buying it live.
Yeah.
And like,
that was
whatever
cool.
You're looking at on OpenSea is like, all right, these are my choices. Which one am I going for?
And that was by far the most expensive NFT I ever bought, never have bought since then, by far. I had a Bored Ape for a long, long time, obviously, but I bought that for cheap. Bought it for 0.8 or whatever. Yeah, man.
Nice.
But good stuff. We've had a great journey with you guys. Been there. I mean, I minted 5 of them, believe it or not, but that was in my
nice.
like that was, if we should go back to memory lane, because that was an interesting mint how it went down. I mean, it was less than a month after Bored Ape sold out. So it was like, there wasn't a lot going on. Probably not everybody remembers that time. Some people do. When there was a project dropping, we talked about Extreme Time. You had to have like a real dev team and put stuff together. There wasn't all this tech out there to just 10 minutes drop a project. It was a big deal making sure everything went right. But I was in my heavy flipping days. So I was just buying and selling. And I bought 5 and wish obviously should have kept them all for a long time. But what was that like back then? Why don't you tell the story about when it minted, what it was like? I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. It's always crazy to think back because like you said, like Solidity devs were the hardest people to find. Yeah. And their skill at the time was just so insane, like so important.
And the art generators too. You had to have someone that knew how to layer all the art. There were programs for that. Yeah. Look on.
Right.
Yeah.
And so luckily with Cool Cats, the layering system was probably the most simple one out of all NFTs, at the time at least, because it was just 3 traits. And it was a lot of fun minting because it was kind of new. It was new to me. And I always tell this, like my introduction to NFTs was Cool Cats, because I didn't know what I was doing. But met up with Tom and Link, and of course my buddy Evan, Elu, and we all kind of came together and we're like, let's just drop this thing. It was kind of like a passion project for us while we were like in between other stuff. And we minted, and initially we sold for 0.06, which at the time was like $150. And then we decided, like, someone came into our chat and was like, hey, I will buy 20 right now if you lower the price. And so we're like, okay, like it kind of like you could tell the momentum had sort of stopped on the mint, like an hour or so in. Like the people who knew us before we minted had already minted. And then when we lowered the price, that news hit Twitter of like, this project just dropped its price. And so essentially it was like go mode for so many people. And then we minted out like hours after that moment. And we dropped it to 0.02, which was like $50. And then from there, it was just an absolute blast. We, had all this momentum and people were excited. Our Discord was popping. We were one of the first projects to do a town hall. So that kind of became our weekly thing where we just do a town hall talking about what happened that week, what we're doing. And it really just kept going up from there.
That's wild. And you also, when you dropped the price, didn't you give 2 more to everybody that minted at 06 to even it out?
Yes. Yeah, that was sort of this like decision. We're like, well, if we drop the price, like we can't screw over the people who were the first people here and ready to support us at a higher price. Yeah, we used immediately some of the money that we got in off the initial mint and then bought some cats, enough to give 2 to every person. And we gave them the option. We asked if they just wanted to be refunded or if they wanted 2 more cats. And just about everyone said 2 more cats, making it easier. But during this process, another thing Cool Cats kind of did first was one-of-ones. So characters that didn't match any of the trait system and were totally unique. And during that process of us buying cats, I accidentally minted 2 of them. And that was just like, because I didn't know where the numbers were at. We sort of just like randomized it.
Right.
Yeah. And then I just got lucky. So that actually was a blessing in disguise because then we got to like continue the hype weeks later of like, all right, we're giving away one of the legendaries. And then we did a whole contest around that. And it was all exciting. It was so much fun.
That's so cool. What do you think would have happened if you didn't, if you stuck to your guns, didn't lower the price? What do you think would have happened with the project?
I think it might have eventually sold out. I think it might have taken a little bit longer. It might have been days instead of hours. But I think it was also kind of like a message to Web3 that we didn't really care about the money. It was like, we're willing to lower the price. We'd rather just people have this. And so we were also very transparent, and that kind of showed through as well with the price drop. So I think the price drop was pretty crucial to our mint.
Cool.
And you were an artist well before NFTs. I mean, even the Cool Cat character you've been creating for the past, like, I don't know, there's some thing you have of like the evolution of the cool cat, and it's like you've been drawing this for how long have you been drawing it? Like a decade
10 years.
or so? 10 years. Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I remember seeing on Twitter a while back like this picture of this like art booth that you had of like, you know, the cool cat
The
drawings
saddest
and all that.
little booth ever in the rain, 10 feet by 10 feet. Yeah. Oh,
Right.
gosh.
So, and that I feel like you've kind of accomplished an artist's dream, like really breaking out of like that like stereotypical role of like, oh, artists are like actors, and you know, it's like, oh, they have to have other jobs to sustain themselves, and it's just this like, you know, hustle that's not very lucrative. And a lot of, you know, NFT artists have really been able to kind of break out of that stereotype and like, no, artists can be successful and do all these things, and it doesn't have to be, you know, the traditional way.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's like drawing is the side gig, and you have to have something else that's like actually making you money. And so with Cool Cats, at least for me, it's like, I remember when we sold out, I think it was within that week. I was already hating the job that I had, like the clients, because I was a freelance graphic designer. And I immediately was like, oh, I'm going to just do this full time because this is every artist's dream. This is great. There's like a whole audience here. I'm excited. So I could tell it was the moment. And like you said, for a lot of other artists, I think they saw that and were like, oh, I want to do this too. Like, this is fun. This is cool.
Yeah. And you went to design school and everything. I was kind of watching, it's funny because I was watching the Cooltopia NYC 2022, like, documentary recap thing where it's like you and Evan were like being interviewed, and then you showed clips of Cooltopia, and Andy, our producer, was in there. I found a clip of him and I was like, Andy, you made it in. But yeah, in that both of you guys said you went to design school, and that's how you guys like originally met.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I am kind of curious on your artist journey of, I don't know, kind of like how, like when you kind of started your artist journey and up until now.
Yeah. So, you know, for everyone, the artist journey usually starts when you're young. And for me, it really started when I started getting into watching like cartoons or looking at Calvin and Hobbes. And that was kind of the moment I realized I really enjoyed cartoons and characters. So ever since I was little, I've always been drawing a character. You know, it goes through cycles and like chapters, basically. The first one was like a frog. Then it was this like weird, like teardrop looking thing. And then eventually it was a penguin. And then eventually it was just sort of a whole bunch of things. And then it was a cat. And the cat actually came a little bit before, I say like 10 years. But that was the 10 years is like when Blue Cat became a character. And so I was always in high school drawing like t-shirt graphics for people. That was like my thing. It was my other little side hustle to make some money. And then what kind of became my thing was that I would hide a cat in every drawing I did. And so that became interesting for people because they would buy this thing and then have to search for the cat. And then eventually I got to college and just started drawing this cat character like over and over and over again. And that's sort of how Blue Cat came to be. And I started an Instagram account called The Cattoonist. Really just continuing to develop the character. And then like many artists, you kind of hit a crossroads where, you know, you're getting older, you're not making much money, and you sort of have to pivot. And so I pivoted towards graphic design. And that's where like I met Evan, and we worked on a whole bunch of like side projects together. Always loved starting something new. And then, you know, because of that, you know, years later, he was like, yeah, have you heard of NFTs? Like, I'm doing this drop. You want to help me out? And so I helped out on his project. We got rugged by the dev, and then we started from ground zero again. And that's when we started Cool Cats. And I was like, dude, this character, like, you know, this character, I've been drawing it for years. Let's use it. And so that was kind of like the journey to get to Cool Cats. It's wild to always think about.
That's amazing. That is so crazy. And yeah, I remember Extreme Tom saying something about, I don't know if this was a different project, but he said that he was a part of a project before Cool Cats, but he's like, nobody talks about that.
Yeah, Fatacorns.
Fatacorns, yep.
Oh, Fatacorns, yeah.
I remember
and
Fatacorns.
that was actually the first NFT I ever bought. was Faticorns, because I saw them on Twitter randomly, and this is when I was like fresh in the space. I don't even think I knew what Bored Apes were at the time. I was just like searching around. And you know, like right when we all got into NFTs, like you'd go to OpenSea and you'd click like the all button, and you thought like, to me, that was like my perception of NFTs. And a lot of them were really bad. Like you could tell they were scams. And then eventually you'd come across one like Bored Apes and you'd see it and you're like, wait, people are paying this much for an NFT? And then like in the back of my head now, I'm like, just wait, these get way more expensive in due time. But so Faticorns, I found it randomly on Twitter, bought one, was a part of their Discord, and that's how I met Tom and Link, the other co-founders of Cool Cats. And they didn't want to start on an existing project, aka the one Evan and I were working on. They wanted something new. So when we got rugged by our other dev, we proposed this idea to Tom and Link. I was like, hey, I have this character, you know, XYZ. We, you know, sold them on it. And then we all kind of became a team in that moment. And then like a month and a half later, we dropped Cool Cats. We just like worked as quickly as possible. So it's crazy how things work out.
That is wild. The timing was so perfect at that time for everyone doing. So you guys dropped it. So you're like, you know, I want to create, basically your vision was kind of creating an art project. You wanted to put your art out there, a bunch of cool stuff, vibe with people. And then like I said, it was the perfect timing. It turned into like Animoca wants to give you money now. What's that like for you? Because that's not what that wasn't, and like, it's like all of a sudden now I'm Disney and I'm Hello Kitty, right? Like that's like what everybody was trying to say. Every project was the next Marvel or the next this or that. So
next.
So what was that transition like? Okay, so we got this successful thing. Okay, now people are paying for it. So there's like a market cap. So people are looking at us. Now they want us, we got to do more. So how did that transition happen for you guys from going from being, because I remember the whole vibe, Clon's an artist. I remember Andy and I, sorry to do a little tangent, but you'll probably like this. The Gunner Cat Gang Party 2021 in New York City. You remember it was in like this weird dungeon of a building with like a weird elevator, no steps up and down. It was a death trap in there. But you were doing art in like this little room, sitting in a circle. Like you weren't making gains or anything. Andy got a picture of it.
The photo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. I was just about to say Toby and Vinny. And of course,
oh damn! Yeah, I didn't even know that was Vinny.
And then
I didn't even remember that part
also
of it.
Down there.
F dot. That was F dot who just did a meme 6529, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Just yesterday, I think. Yep.
This is so great because like there's a lot in this photo. So like,
dude, Andy coming clutch.
Yeah, this is clutch. There's a lot I can dissect here. Like, so first off, you know, Vinny, Toby, and I met like not too long before this at the first ever Cool Cats event in LA. And Toby's actually wearing a jacket that my wife embroidered in this photo. And so I just remember sitting in this room was empty to start, like literally no one in there. And then I like kind of wanted to get away from it all. So I sat in here, and then like Toby and Vinny came in. And of course, Vinny, if you've ever met Vinny, his like mantra is like what he lives by is like, I just want to draw, dude. And so he comes with this bag of markers and like a bunch of paper, and we just start drawing. And then like before we know it, because we're so zoned in, we look up and there's just like a crowd of people.
You couldn't move
surrounding us.
You couldn't even move in that room. Yeah.
And we're just like so zoned in, and like so that was the moment I could like, and F dot as well. Like we all kind of became really good friends in that moment. And I think that's something we'll always remember. Is just how wild that feeling was. Because you were talking about like, you know, how does that transition feel?
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild. Like, because to me, you know, nothing's changed really about me. Like, I still see myself as this artist who, you know, was at those festivals with a pop-up tent. Like, that's still how I perceive myself for a while, even today. And so to kind of have like this traction and people enjoying what you're creating, and then because of that, companies notice and they start contacting you. And like the first one ever, Time Magazine, like when that hit, that was like, whoa, Time Magazine? Like that's an established brand. And then you have
Keith
like
Grossman
Animo.
did a lot. Keith Grossman did a lot for the space. He had a real big platform to shine light on people.
Absolutely.
He really did.
And then, all the artists wanted to be a part of that because it's just such a great platform to be on their website, their platform, all of that. So it's like when Animoca comes in, it's wild that, you've created something that is valuable enough that someone like that wants to be a partner with you and wants to see you succeed. And so, that's happening more and more. And like with Macy's, what we're doing with Macy's, we have a balloon in the parade this year, and that's like coming up. And through this, like we've actually developed a really close relationship with Macy's through all of this because, for anyone listening who doesn't know, we won a contest, which was voted all by community members against other Web3 projects. And we ended up winning. Through that, we got our own free balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. And so that was sort of like the prize. But through that, we've been able to make a deeper connection with them because they recognize our IP. They really like us. And so that's kind of the transition moment of like, oh, like you got to kind of understand your value. And that's the hardest thing as an artist is understanding your value. Because to you, you know how long something takes to create or whatever. So you have this own perception of your own value in your head.
And you'll have people telling you that what your value should be. You'll have
right,
as an
of
artist,
course.
you will.
Yeah.
How much?
Or the opposite, You're like, you're worthless. And then,
totally.
You just like dust those people off and keep moving.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you can't listen to that. And they're usually anonymous people that are whatever.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. How much you said you get a free balloon? How much does a balloon there normally cost?
I actually have no idea. I've never asked. I was like, cool, it's free. No more questions.
Is it like a part of other NFT balloons going to be there and stuff too? Or like it's just you
just
guys are
us.
oh, really? Wow.
We're the first ever NFT brand to be in the parade.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll be the only one this year. Next year, I don't know, but we haven't talked that far. But
that's so cool. So what are you going to, is it going to be like the blue cat or what is it going to be?
So we've teased it. It's going to be blue cat, full body. Like
full
the
body
character blue cat that we've developed with the yellow shirt, the green pants, and he's holding little chugs in his arm. He's giving like a peace sign. And so he's going to be like Superman style, going down as a balloon. It's crazy. He's going to be next to like Pikachu, Snoopy, and there's like all of these other huge IPs. And then we're going to have merch and, we'll have plush, we'll have vinyls in their store on their shelves and all of their flagship locations with those other characters. So the reason it's so important to me is I'm really curious to see how we do going toe to toe with these brands that have been around like for 50 years selling characters, like Snoopy. Like that's one of my favorite characters ever. So I'm curious to see how Blue Cat does sitting next to Snoopy.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think people like knew, I don't know. And obviously, I guess we haven't really recorded since this happened, but Pudgy Penguins is now in Walmart, which is amazing. And a lot of people have been, going and like really just buying so many because I don't know, I guess if you buy a bunch and it really like shows a lot of demand, like then Walmart's like, all right, we'll buy more, to sell and everything. And so they're really trying to get people to just buy a shit ton of these.
There's also 8,000 golden tickets scattered throughout. A couple people started pulling them. Yeah, it's a pretty good idea.
NFT Bark, Steve, he got one.
Yeah, pretty good idea, Clon. Pretty good idea.
So what's so important about what Pudgy is doing is like we've seen it, and I know a lot of other projects are seeing it. Like when you work with Macy's, for instance, you talk to them about having merch and some of their partners, and people are pretty hesitant on picking up any Web3 brand because people have done it in the past and has not gone well. And so people have been burned by trying to pick up these Web3 brands and put them in their stores at mass. And so what's important about Pudgy and Web3 as a whole is that they got into 2,000 stores. And if they can sell a lot, like a chunk, like a good chunk of their toys then that's a good sign for Web3 as a whole. That means like, okay, a brand can do it, which then means other partners are going to be like, a project did it. Now let's look for other projects. And I think it just really helps everyone out all across the board. So I'm really interested to see what the outcome is of being in 2,000 Walmarts, because I don't know how Luca did it, but that's insane. I can't imagine the logistics of all of that.
It's pretty wild. We had Luca on just a couple months ago, and he's really impressive, really incredible. He has a track record with Walmart. He was one of the people behind Gel Blasters. If you know that toy thing, it blew up at Walmart. So his words were, they will pretty much listen to anything I say because I've made them a lot of money. That was his word about the big box retail store. So he was also with Von Dutch before. Just to give it a little perspective, that's definitely really impressive.
Yeah, he's very well connected for sure.
Yeah, he's very well connected.
Right.
He's very smart. Like he says, I want to make my $20 toy a little bit more valuable than the $20 toy next to it. He gives like a digital thing with each toy you buy. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Yeah, man.
So cool cats.
Pudgy cats one day. I could see the
Pudgy
collab in Walmart.
Yeah, there could be. That would be great. They're both really
that's
cute.
That's what Web3 is all about too. It's not about. And like I'm not saying that to say anything at all negative on what you were just talking about. Just talking about, you
for sure
said what's important. Yeah, exactly. It's very impressive what they've done, and it's awesome to see that you guys are doing that. And going to be in Macy's. I'm going to look after those as well. It's all really, really cool.
The tough thing really is navigating as a character brand, because it's a totally different thing than a toy brand. The character brand, like your IP is like the character is something you have to hold so tightly to your chest, because the second you start licensing that out, you're letting other people kind of decide for you. And so what's great about Macy's is like we're in their flagship stores and we're allowed to completely control the look and the price and all of that. And we're really focused on a lot of quality products. It's something we've been developing for a while, and just making sure that we can get a whole line of product that is good quality, lifestyle, and like things that you would, whether it's Web3 or not, like you're going to wear and be stylish looking in. And so that's what's really important to us, because it reflects on the character, and there's so much value in that. And so you have to navigate it slightly differently, which is a trick. And it's usually a slower growth. But at the end of the day, the goal is, do you know the character's name? Like that is constantly my goal. And it's great because people do know the name. People say either Cool Cat or Blue Cat. They say Chugs. And eventually next year, with our big push and a lot of stuff that we have going on, you're going to learn about a few more characters. So it's an interesting road.
Exciting. So you have already teased like what you're going to have in Macy's, and when, I guess, can we expect this to happen? Is it like when the Thanksgiving parade happens, or
when everything hits the shelves?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, if I heard all of it correctly, it's going to be like a little bit before when the parade happens in all their flagship stores. So pretty much major cities where there's a big Macy's. And I'm trying to check our Discord now, because we have teased what the some of it looks like. I'm like, but is this a holders only chat? So
this feels like alpha, folks.
But it's, we have new stuff in the works, and for Macy's, and for after Macy's, we're going to make sure we have all of that. Because what's so important about Macy's is the value that we're gaining in eyeballs. We're just getting a lot of attention. Like millions of people watch this parade. We have mobile games in development that will be ready around that time, so that we can kind of funnel people from that to the games. We can funnel them from that to merch, to the NFTs, to our Discord. And we're just trying to gain a larger audience. And we have a lot of animated content coming out too.
Wow, y'all are really building over there. Is the game Cooltopia, or is it different?
No, it's different. Right now we have nothing really like truly metaverse being developed, because we need the audience base first before that before that's important. So that's like a longer term play, is to have something like that ready to go. What we want are games that are casual fun that you will want to play over and over and over again with your friends or alone, just to, and it's like a way of immersing yourself further into the characters and into the world and the lore and everything. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's exciting. Okay, last question. Go. Just one last question, and I'll go back to you.
Yeah,
But
please.
is the Macy's merch going to be available online?
I should know this question. I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay, it's all good.
I don't. I want to say no, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So whoever's listening to this, I should know more. So,
Well, we'll update. We'll
keep you up to
update you
date.
guys once we find out. And
Awesome.
All right,
Now, that's really exciting. I can't wait to see what you guys start putting out there and all that stuff. I wanted to give a shout out to friend of the show, our buddy Zane Gaziani. I know him probably better than Jed does, but yeah, he came on to Cool Cats recently. Big fan, love Zane, love Chippy. Everything he's done. He's a really good dude. We met and definitely a fan.
Dude, love
so I wanted to
Zane.
give him a shout out. What's he doing? You mentioned animation. Isn't that what he is doing, or am I mistaken?
Yep. So we have a little animation studio that we're working with for just a little bit higher quality, like animations. And then we have people in-house who also create animation.
Mm-hmm.
But Zane kind of oversees all of that. And he really oversees social, strategically more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's been a lot. We've had to go back and forth through different animation and what content we're posting, and finally all the pieces aligned, and we started getting the content going. And in the beginning of September, we decided all right, let's flip the switch, let's really start ramping up the promotion of this. And within just the past September, we've gone up 15,000 followers, and I think overall engagement has gone up literally 2,000%. So things are cooking now. We have 2 videos that got over 1 million views and a lot of shares. And so that's just the beginning. We have a lot more on the way. So that's, hopefully going to ramp up, because what's also important for Macy's is having a big follower account ahead of time. So when people land on our land on our Instagram, they're like, oh, this is an established brand, and they have this game coming, and they have this animated content coming, and all of that. So it just adds a layer of validation. And then that goes even further when you're talking to new partners, because the first thing they look at is your follower account.
Instagram. They don't look at Twitter, right? They're looking at Instagram.
No, they do not look at Twitter.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah. Is Instagram tough for Web3, or you're finding it pretty good? So you gained 15,000 followers on Instagram in the last month.
Yeah, just in the last month, and that was when we finally decided to promo the stuff that we had going on.
Oh yeah,
and
sure.
Yeah, so Instagram is a tricky one, because the second we took, you cannot have NFT anywhere in your name, or anywhere, just anywhere.
Yeah.
You have to hide that so
Cats
much.
Global. I see that. Cool Cats Global.
It's so sad. We tried to get just at Cool Cats, but the guy who's holding it is no way am I giving this up. And we're
especially to an NFT company.
Yeah, especially to an NFT company. Screw you guys. So we went through a whole bunch of names, but Global was the only one available. So we landed on that. And it's at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what your name is, as long as
that makes
doesn't
sense,
say NFT in it.
I know, it's really
the second we started doing that,
you don't even have Web3 or anything. You're just figure it out if you can figure it out, but otherwise we're ballooning the parade.
It's kind of the Doodles route a bit as well, where they're also kind of on their site, there's not really, I don't think there's any mention of Web3. And it's funny because Web3 people are kind of mad about it, but the masses are oh, nice, woohoo!
You gotta have a business. You gotta have a business. What are you gonna do? Web3, everybody wants everything for free over and over again. You gotta have a business.
Well, and the second royalties went away. It's all right, what's our new? You have to figure out different ways, and so social becomes so important, because you can also monetize on social. And that's how we're gonna grow the audiences bigger. And like, similar to Doodles, just trying to create like a lifestyle and like something that really immerses in the culture. So you kind of have to make that pivot. But, what we're trying to do is we have an NFT called the Explorer, and the Explorer is like the cheapest version of a character you could possibly get. And there's nothing too exciting about it, but it gets you into the ecosystem and it gets you into the avatar system that we're developing that has a lot of unique tools that no one's done yet. And so we're excited to do that. And with Macy's, trying to get people in. And, similar to Pudgy and their toys, it's like just getting someone kind of into the digital space is the first step. And then the more they enjoy it, and the more like it starts to make sense to them and how it's like kind of gamified and how you own these assets. It's going to be a slow process, but I think all of us are trying to figure it out in our own ways right now.
How many people do you guys have working over there now?
15. We have 15 people.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good group.
And how come all the everyone kind of like split off the founders? Like, it's like Evan's not with Cool Cats anymore, like Extreme Tom.
Yeah, I think just a lot changed. A lot of direction changed. And ultimately, it needed to be brought back to the illustration and the characters, because that's sort of how it all started. And Web3 is tough. Web3 is really tough, and it's not for everybody. It's literally a 24/7, job that you have, and you're never not thinking about it. So for some people, it's just gotta get some of your personal life back, and so I understand.
That makes sense.
There was another change recently, right? That I read. Steven Taglis, he was the CEO. I wasn't too familiar. I'm not, but he left. Is that because you're taking your more active role? Is that kind of the natural progression of that?
And so like for Steven and I still talk. There is no bad blood or anything. I think he was also just kind of ready to move on. But what was so crucial about Steven is that he came in, kind of saw the holes in the company and the structure of everything, and really helped fix all of that up. And so now our team is much leaner, but just full of really talented people who all know what they need to be doing, full of great ideas. And then after Steven left, it's like, do we get another CEO? It's like, no, like I'm ready to take the reins now. I've done enough observing.
That's how that went down. So
let's go, Clon.
Yeah,
let's
like,
go. Nah, dude. Yeah.
I think everyone was so excited though. Everyone
they were.
Yes, they were. Clon is like, he's out here running the company now. Let's go.
Yeah, it's like because I know where it needs to go, and I luckily have such a good team that can help me get there. So and that's what was important about Steven, is that he really helped structure that together and made it easier for the pass off. And so now I'm ready, and I'm so excited. There's just a lot of great things coming, and it'll be a lot of it's announced close to Macy's time. So I had to leave it a little bit of a surprise.
That move made a lot of sense to everybody. Everybody was pumped, definitely, for sure. It got a little bit convoluted for a while.
Right.
There's a lot to.
Well, it's a scary thing. You're like, oh my God, the CEO stepping down, and you don't know why. And I think it's the never knowing why it's scary. But
right.
You guys also had a booth in Comic-Con this year.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you guys?
Amazing. Yeah. Like, I highly recommend any Web3 brand showing up to Comic-Con. Obviously not talking about NFTs, because that's the crowd that would, riot against you. Yeah, pitchforks. Thank you. That's what I was gonna try to say.
Andy's a Comic-Con guy. I don't know if he's still listening. Our producer's a Comic-Con guy.
I love Comic-Con. It was my first one I went to, and what was so important about Comic-Con is just being there, like straight up, and because a lot of people go there, and they know that there's Marvel, there's Funko Pop, there's all of these, everything that they've seen before. And a lot of people look for new IP. Yeah. And so when you show up as new IP, people get really interested, and they see because there's a lot of people there trying to network and trying to talk. And so if they see new IP, they're going to come up to you and they're going to ask you what you are, all of that. What are your plans? And what's also great about it is through just being there, thousands of people are running by your booth every day. And through that, you kind of get a sense of who your audience is. Who are the people who just like looked at you and kept walking? Who are the people that like actually took a second to like look at what you were doing? And then who's the people that like got really excited and wanted to like buy something? And so through that, you kind of can generally figure out who your audience is, and it really helps you with whatever you're doing in the future to pinpoint those that audience base, that demographic. So a lot was learned from that. And it was great because we had this whole dialogue of like, you know, we were trying to hide the Web3 part. You know, we're this, you know, digital character brand, you know, IP, all of that. And people would be interested, but then we would end it in like, oh, and we have a balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And they're like, oh, like, okay, you guys are doing something. And I'm like, yeah, we have animated content.
You should actually have a big balloon over any booth you ever do should have like a mini one of the balloons.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. So it was great. It was a huge success. And let's talk about Pudgy again. Like they were also there, and Oni Force was there. And I think because we all talked during the whole thing, and like we're cheering each other on. And it was just, I think all of us came away from that being like, all right, next year's going to be even better. Like because once you're in, you're on their list and you can like sign up to come up next year. And I think it's a no-brainer to just do it again because you're in front of a lot of people at Comic-Con and a lot of people who enjoy IP. So it's a no-brainer.
There's a lot of those. They're around the country too, right? There's one in San Diego, New York.
Yeah.
I think that,
and then the San Diego one is like the biggest one. It's like the Comic-Con, but they're everywhere. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Should we go to our Gas Wars segment?
I think so.
Okay. All right. So, Clon, we are about to ask you 5 rapid fire questions each that do not have to do with NFTs, just to kind of get to know you a little bit better. So,
yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Michael, you want to go first?
All right. Sure. I'll go first. What is your favorite place to travel?
Oh, favorite place to travel? I went to Ireland one time, and you know, my family's Irish, and we did like the whole island, and something about it just felt right, and how green it was, and drinking Guinness, and so I've always wanted to go back again.
Love it.
It felt like home, even though I'm not born there.
That's awesome. What's one? Okay, you can only eat one food again for the rest of your life. What is it?
Chicken tenders. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm such a child when it comes to my favorite foods. So
dinosaur chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets.
Yeah, you're right.
Who has the best chicken nuggets?
Oh, is that your question,
God.
Michael?
It can be.
Okay. So it used to be Chick-fil-A because I'm from Georgia, and Chick-fil-A started in Georgia. But then I did this all-you-can-eat chicken nugget night, and I ate like 68 nuggets, and I forever hate them now. But those used to be my favorite. But there's some places in Georgia that just have really good fried chicken, and so I'd just say kind of anything in the South is where I go to get my chicken.
Anywhere south of the Mason-Dixon if you're looking for the area.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, favorite movie?
Oh gosh, this came up recently. I'm just gonna say the Lord of the Rings trilogy, extended cut. But the other one that's funnier is I love Hot Rod, the Andy Samberg movie. But it hit at a time, like an age that I was at and back when, you know, in iTunes you'd buy movies and stuff, and so it was like the one movie I had and I obsessed about for some reason. But
yeah, as kids, like you'd always just watch the same movie over and over and over again, over and over. Yeah, and it's like as adults, you don't even watch a movie like twice. You're like, no, I watched it one time, I'm good.
Right.
Like
I saw that.
I watched
years
that
ago.
a year ago.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I'll say you guys probably have 20 years ago. You're watching cartoons or whatever, but
I mean, for me,
I just gave away my age there, and I looked at Jenny when I said 20 years ago. She was like, "Oh yeah, sure."
20 years ago, how old was that? Yeah, no, I mean, 20 years ago, I was watching Nacho Libre like freaking dozens of times.
Oh my gosh.
I watched that so many. That was probably my number one watched movie. Like,
nice.
Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
All right. What is the craziest conspiracy theory that you think is true?
Oh, no. What question is this?
Han's not a conspiracy
That means
theorist.
he believes some stuff. He believes some
No,
stuff.
I feel like that means he doesn't.
Well, there's some controversial
No, he's
ones.
embarrassing.
There's
He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to say he believes the world is flat.
We're really into conspiracies over here, so.
Dude, I
Say whatever.
I know this is off topic, but I was on the Uber one time trying to go to the airport, and it was like a shared Uber, and my Uber driver was like a hardcore flat earther, and like going on about it, and the person I was sitting next to was like entertaining it. She was like really asking him all these questions, and I'm just sitting there like, get me out of this car. This is insane. I don't know what conspiracy theories I believe in. I actually don't read into them enough. I don't know if I have one. I'm trying to think of like funnier ones. But I have nothing that comes to mind right now.
That's
Sorry.
all good. It's all good.
Yeah,
That's all good.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your first job?
Oh, my first job, I was a dishwasher at the age of 15. The second I got like a learner's permit to drive my car, I got a job. And I was just washing dishes
At a restaurant?
Yep, at a restaurant, working long shifts. But that's how you made your money. So
Yeah.
that was my first job.
Nice.
Who is one person that always makes you smile?
My wife.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's sweet.
It's the easy answer.
Yeah, that's true.
You
You
looked
gotta have
over
to
at
say your
her.
wife.
You gave that dirty
I
look.
literally, I looked over. I was like, yeah. And then my cats after that.
Oh.
And then Zane.
Yeah, and then Zane. And then Zane.
What this you don't have to answer this if you don't want, if you like keep it a secret, but what was your New Year's resolution this year?
Oh, that's a great one, actually. My New Year's resolution, I feel like it was this year. Yeah, it's been a long year. Wow. My New Year's resolution this year was to, like, in a sense, like, not care about other people, their opinions, because a lot of 2022 was people forcing their opinions in my face. So I kind of had this moment where I stopped caring. And I started caring more about what I'm passionate about and like what I truly believe is right. So it kind of was, we did like a rebrand. A lot of this obviously revolves around Cool Cats. It's just too much of my life right now. So we did a rebrand and all of that. And I was ready to just like start a new chapter as if like nothing in the past had happened. And I'm just like ready to keep going on like what I'm laser focused on. So that was sort of it.
I love that. That's a great New Year's resolution.
There's a lot of the early founders share that with you. I know G-Funk had a lot of people coming at him, and it's really hard. A lot of those founders went through that.
Yeah,
I know
that's why. Like the funny thing is, like I swear, all founders like each other. Behind the scenes, when we're in DMs, like we're all rooting each other on because we know.
Were you part of that room that Spaces my man Q had when he had like 10 different founders on? Were you?
I don't think I was there. Okay. I don't think
that was a couple months ago. He brought together a whole bunch of people. But but
it's like we're all like, we're in the same shit. Like you could be trying your best and like whatever. It's just like one thing goes wrong. Like people perceive things. People think you're like this millionaire on a boat somewhere, and it's like that is not the case. It is like we are using everything for this. So luckily we all support each other behind the scenes, which is great.
That's great. You guys are all in the trenches together.
Yeah. It's like the tide rises all, or whatever that saying is, the boats. You know.
The tide lifts all boats or something.
Yeah, it's like that's what we all kind of believe. It's like if one of us does well and like can prove the concept of Web3, we're all going to be good again. Because we're all here building. We all have our thing that we have going on. So, yeah.
Awesome. What a pleasure to meet you, man. It was good stuff.
Oh, was that 5?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I think that
wasn't
was 5,
even counting.
That was my 5th,
probably.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
I love rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
Because there's some that's like, you can answer immediately, and then there's some that's like, oh, I haven't had to like, think about that.
It's been a fun segment. We've had a lot of fun with it. And people don't know what it is. I like to look at people's faces when Jenny's like, should we start gas wars? Because they kind of they're like, what's coming?
Yeah.
Gas Wars, what's that? Yeah, but thank you so much, Clon, for joining us on the show. Like, this has really been fun, and like I said before, Cool Cats is always been a podcast favorite. So we're super excited to finally have you on and be able to talk to you about Cool Cats. And we're looking forward to the Thanksgiving parade and all that you guys are building. So
thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. Always great chat.
Yes. All right, cool. Well, with that said, appreciate you all for tuning into this episode of the NFT Catcher podcast, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.